Okay, here we go. Welcome to Stuck in Survival Mode. So let's start with how are you doing? How are you feeling tonight? Are you feeling activated, like maybe you're in survival? Are you feeling more grounded? Maybe a little of both. You can put in the chat or you can unmute. A little of both. Okay, fair enough. Here's this chat over here. All right, I am feeling pretty grounded this morning. I got up early and did kind of a meditation. I just look at this. I get on YouTube and play like it sounds like water in the background with just some soft music, and then turn my face towards the sun and just breathe. And that's how I try to start my day, to just kind of get centered. And sometimes I only have time to do that for 5 minutes. Sometimes I can do it for a little bit longer, but this is a way to begin to, hang on just a second. I've got some people to let in from the waiting room. But this is kind of a way to begin our day where we are just calm, where we're feeling centered, and just turning your face to the sun and taking some breaths can really be a helpful way to start your day. But we will get more into the specifics of that as we move forward. Welcome to those of you who just came in. I'm glad you're here. And we are just getting started. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I call sophisticated survival mode, because I think when most of us think of the term survival mode, we think of like crisis. We think of something major just happened, or there's a tornado coming, there's bad weather, or there's a car accident, or something's happening in your marriage, or we think of like a crisis, something major. And so it's understandable if something like that's happening and you're in survival mode. Your fight, flight, freeze has been activated, and all other things don't really matter because you need to just focus on whatever crisis is at hand. That's not what this class is about, because that is a whole different animal as far as how we react, how we respond, how we regulate our system. What I'm talking about in this class today is what I call sophisticated survival mode, and that is basically survival in disguise. Um, it's when we have had some really activating experiences, whether it's growing up in a home that was not emotionally safe, or whether it's you've had some really big, scary experiences that you haven't quite been able to resolve and figure out. And so we stay in this kind of hyper alert state. And I also very strongly believe that our society celebrates and supports people who are in this sophisticated survival mode activated state. And what that would look like is, you're overworking, you're rush, 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 push, 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 max out your time, max out your capacity. Many, many people feel like, well, if I just am calm, if I have nothing specific I'm supposed to be doing, if I just enjoy my day, then that means I'm being lazy. Then that means I don't really care about my job, that people are taking advantage of me. Like, we have these concepts of what not being in survival mode, we consider it like a bad thing, where actually what I'm going to challenge today in this class is staying in this prolonged state of feeling numb, feeling disconnected, feeling like you can't have peace and you don't deserve peace, and living in peace is lazy, is creating long-term prolonged suffering for you. Right? So I'm going to talk about what that means and what that looks like. So first, let's look at some signs that you are in a perpetual state of survival mode. So the first thing I want to look at is the mental signs of that. So let me know if you can relate to one of these. You're constantly overthinking, always analyzing things, second guessing things, playing worst case scenarios in your mind, um, replaying conversations you had when you were just at work or when you were at a social gathering. You're constantly in your head thinking, thinking, thinking. Hypervigilance, which is always scanning for danger or disapproval or conflict. Difficulty making decisions. So like every choice feels like a challenge. It feels like pressure. It feels like, um, you know, you get frustrated when you have to make decisions and it just feels like a crisis each time you need to make any kind of decision. Or tunnel vision. You can't dream, plan, you struggle on getting through the day. So those are the ways that I was thinking of just as far as mental capacity, the mental signs that you are living in survival mode more than you're not. So just make a note of the ones that you can relate to when it comes to that. All right, and here's the emotional signs that you could be living in survival mode. You're emotionally numb. You just don't really feel. You feel like, well, you feel numb. You feel a little bit checked out. Or you have chronic anxiety or chronic dread. You're irritable and have emotional outbursts. You activate easily emotionally. All right. Another one is you're feeling disconnected. You feel like there's kind of this foggy layer between you and between life. You just feel like there's just something that you feel disconnected. You're not really fully present. Those are some emotional signs that you're in survival mode. Okay, some behavioral signs. Peggy, I appreciate that you are sharing, and I would love for any of you to share. She's saying that she can relate to a lot of these, definitely relates to the foggy layer. Some behavioral signs is that you people please or you shape shift. You act how others want you to act because it's easier. I think the bottom line of that is to create safety, but a lot of times we're not aware that it's just easier. It's just easier to act the way people want us to act. It's easier to say yes or I don't care or whatever you want, right? The constant busyness is another behavioral sign that you're in survival mode. If you don't know how to rest, if you feel guilty resting, if you feel, a lot of times I'm working with clients and they're like, I don't know if I don't have something to do, it's like my skin is crawling. I just can't do it. I just can't be. Right? Avoiding things that matter to you, like relationships or creativity or healing work. Like you're too busy and you avoid those things. Like I started off talking about meditation. Like I just don't have time for meditation in the morning. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time, or sabotaging good things. Whenever things get too good, you'll pull away. Like it feels scary to you. It's like I don't deserve that, or I feel like something bad's about to happen. And so that just feels risky and scary to relax and enjoy something. So these are behavioral signs that you're in survival mode. Um, I've got one more section, physical nervous system signs. So if you'll feel tension in your body, your jaw's clenching, you're tight, your shoulders are tight, your stomach's in knots, or you have shallow breathing. You have sleep issues. Either you have trouble falling asleep or you have trouble staying asleep, or even when you get a good night's sleep, you wake up exhausted and not rested. And then you're having health struggles, chronic fatigue, digestive issues, hormonal imbalances, inflammation. Like these are all signs that your body is not regulated. And this is one of the things, as I talk about, one of the things that it costs us to not do this work of creating safety in our body and regulating our system is it wreaks havoc on our nervous system. It wreaks havoc on our oh, I'm losing the terms. All of our organs, right? They begin to experience the stress and the pressure, and then it creates long-term autoimmune diseases, irritable bowel syndrome, migraines, headaches, all our body starts to break down and show the signs. And so then our body, we may be, um, you know, whatever age we are, our body is responding as if we're 10 or 20 years older because it's under constant chronic stress and fatigue. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Becky can relate to autoimmune disease. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the reason I mean, there's a lot of reasons I wanted to do this class is I feel like so many of us have had adverse life experiences. We've experienced trauma, and so it's kind of a chronic problem that we don't know how to regulate ourselves, mainly because our parents didn't know how to regulate themselves and didn't teach us how to do that. And we are all collectively flooded right now. The political climate is chaotic. We have fear-based media, we have emotional disconnection, we are just in a state, those of us, especially who are Americans, are, it's really, really, really challenging right now, because it's hard to go anywhere without talking about how frustrated people are, how scared people are, what's going to happen. Um, we are very polarized in our opinions. We don't have any flexibility for hearing people who don't agree with us, right? It's just really toxic and scary. And so if you already have experienced some adversity and struggle with an activated system, just the cultural, political, emotional climate in the US right now is such that it can really even more so activate our systems and cause us to not really be able to think clearly, to not be able to think creatively, to not be able to um, get to a state where we can live life. And what I want to teach you today is that you can feel safe and regulated in your body, regardless of what's happening outside of your body, regardless of what's happening in your environment, regardless of what's happening politically, emotionally, culturally. um, you can create safety in your body. And not feeling safe is a result of, as kids, when we experience adversity, when we experience trauma, when we experience overwhelm. Ideally, we are in a home where there's an adult available to help us, to kind of mirror for us. Hey, sweetheart, you're upset? Tell me about it. First of all, validate our feelings so that we're heard and seen and understood, which is a basic human need. And then what to do about it. An adult who can be like, okay, sweetheart, take some deep breaths. I'm going to just hold you and give you a hug. It's okay. I'm here. You're safe. Ideally, we grow up in a home where we have parents or an adult who can help us understand our feelings and regulate our systems. Okay, and the way I relate to this is typically parents know how to do this for our physical body, right? So if you were learning to ride a bike and you fall down and skin your knee, then many parents know how to, oh my gosh, you're screaming, they give you a hug, they bring you inside, wash it off for you. They're just continuing to love you, put some cream on it, a Band-Aid, help you take care of your physical body and return it to feeling safe and calm. Most parents can do that. They know how to do that. So over time, with each experience, let's say you have a fever, they teach you, you lay on the couch, take some medicine, drink some water, eat nutritious food, chicken soup, all those things. They know how to help. And so by the time we are teenagers, young adults, we know, oh, I have a cold. I need to do this. I need to eat this. I need to drink this. We know how to manage our body physically because our parents modeled that for us and taught us as we developed and grew, right? But many, many parents don't understand emotion. They don't know how to regulate emotion. They're scared of emotion. They have overwhelming emotion themselves. They're in this continual hyper vigilant, hyperactive state. They have trauma that hasn't been processed. And so when we experience overwhelm emotionally, we're on our own and we don't learn how to regulate our bodies. We don't learn how to regulate our emotions. And so we stay in this perpetual activated state because we didn't learn how to regulate our systems. Right. And the problem with that, and there's a lot of problems with that, but one of them is then we're doing it again to the next generation. It wasn't taught for our parents. They didn't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. And then the next generation, we're not teaching them how to do it either. Right. So this is one of many reasons why it's so valuable and so important to learn it now so we can break that cycle, so that we can not only live a life that feels meaningful and connected and full of joy, and we're able to fulfill the purpose of why we're here because we can think clearly enough and creatively enough and constructively enough to carry out that mission, but then we can allow the next generation to do the same thing. All right. So going back to right now, we're in a state, the climate in America, we're flooded. We're emotionally flooded. And for those of us who have a hard time creating safety anyway, it's even more activating for us, right? It's even more scary because we don't have the tools on a good day to feel calm and safe in our bodies. And now we're in this climate where we don't feel calm and safe ever because we don't know what's about to happen. We don't know how things are going to play out. All right, so let's look at what happens. We stay stuck in reaction mode. So living in reaction is very different than being proactive with your life. You are reacting, you're responding to it's like you're behind the eight ball. You know that term, like we are constantly reacting to perceived or real threats, whether they're big or small, which makes us hypervigilant, it makes us anxious, it makes us irritable, we can't really feel things. Even if there is no immediate danger to your life right now, you think there's about to be, and so you're reacting to life. And if you spend months, weeks, years in reaction mode, then you're frustrated because you have these dreams and visions of who you know you're supposed to be. You have a mission that you want to fulfill with your life, but you can't because you're just constantly reacting to everything that happens around you. Right? So this is one, I'm just listing several reasons why this work is so important in creating safety. Right? You're disconnected from your true self. Like I said, that you're trying to create internal safety, but you're suppressing your needs and your desires. Your voice is minimized, and that's when we start shape shifting and people pleasing and trying to contort ourselves to be acceptable and pleasing to try and create a sense of safety. But then we're invisible. Our true self is invisible, and we're not seen, we're not heard, we're disconnected from who we truly are. Our relationships become codependent or distant. So we can't create safety in ourselves, so we then are requiring the people around us to make us feel safe. We need their behaviors and actions to fulfill safety in us, when that is something that can only be done internally. Nobody can create safety in my body except for me. And if I'm requiring my partner or my children or my boss or somebody else to make me feel safe, then I'm developing a codependent relationship with them, and it's going to blow up. It's going to cause problems long term, right? So we either do that where it gets sticky and codependent, or distant, like I don't need anybody, I don't want anybody, I don't need anything. And that's very problematic as a mammal. Because as mammals, we have to have connection to survive. As mammals, we have to be in community with our people and feel safe to be seen and heard. All right. And your nervous system never settling goes back to what we talked about earlier. We have hormonal imbalances, autoimmune issues, depression and fatigue, emotional flatness and numbness. Like we start to experience the physical symptoms of our body staying in a perpetual survival state. All right. Much less your life feeling hollow. And then, many of us get in the mindset of, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve good things. And that's a whole topic for another day. But if you have this feeling that you don't deserve it, then you will stay in the survival state to keep yourself from relaxing and enjoying life. Okay. So let me think let's see. We'll start with, it's understandable that as a child, you had some dysregulating experiences, or you had parents who were, for whatever reason, this isn't about blame, this is just understanding the big picture, for whatever reason, were not available to help you regulate your emotions, most likely because they didn't know how to themselves. Right? And because we don't have the ability to do that yet, we're not born with that ability, we have to learn it, then we do what we need to do to keep ourselves safe as kids. I know for me, I very much became a pleaser because that's how I created a sense of safety in my home. I kept my mouth shut. I kept put my eyes down. I didn't have needs. I didn't have wants. And I learned how to read what the adults in my life needed and what they wanted. And so I would do that and I would be that so that they would stay calm, which made me feel safe. Right? And many of us have some version of that. We figure out what we need to do to be safe in our home because as children, that's number one priority. And we can't create that for ourselves as kids. The problem is now you're an adult and you're still acting like the kid who doesn't have any mastery and control when actually you do now. You're the adult, right? But we don't just that doesn't just evolve unless we evolve it intentionally. And that's why you're here and that's what I'm teaching you how to help yourself evolve into understanding that you are a different being, that you have capacities you don't know that you have because your mind and your nervous system is still stuck as a child trying to create safety. All right, so I really want to help us understand how to reclaim who we are, what we are. And I was talking to a client last night, and it can be if you grew up in like real chronic stress, if you grew up in chronic adversity, then this is challenging because it's not like you can just say, oh, I understand, Janice. I can just start being myself now. Because if you've grown up in an environment that's chronically unsafe, you have no idea what that means. Who am I? I don't know. I was never even allowed to think or consider that. Right? I have no idea what that means. You're telling me to be myself? What is myself? I don't know because all I know that I am is that I take good care of people, that I can meet people's needs, that I'm a doer, that I can I'm the person at work, I'm the workhorse. I can get stuff done better and faster than anybody else there. That's what but those are you've used pieces of yourself to be able to develop that skill, but that's not you, like the full essence of you. And there's a whole other wide variety of things that are you that you have no idea what they are. So I'm going to help you give you some tools so you can begin to uncover what is it you desire? And it comes from desire. And those of you who grew up in a religious or spiritual world, this is really challenging because desire and pleasure and those words are associated with sin. And so it's like we're not allowed to, like, no, I can't think about my desire. I can't think about pleasure. Where actually, that is how you come to understand yourself. That is how you come to understand your design and the things that you're meant to fulfill and have in this world. And you know, God, the universe wouldn't have given you desire if you weren't intended to express that. And think about somebody that you know who you feel like is just a bright light, a really grounded, happy person, somebody you know that's just like it just feels so good to be around that person. What is it about them that feels good to you? I would imagine there are elements. When I think of this person, she just expresses joy. She giggles at silly things. She's not afraid to be like, oh my, she'll stop and get a cookie and just rave about the flavor of the cookie. She will pull over on the road and get wildflowers. And like, she just is present in life and is just enjoying pleasure and desire and fun. And she's relaxed. And when I'm with her, I feel like I have permission to be more of that myself. Right. So as you give yourself permission to not only know your desires and begin to express them, then you invite the people in your life to do the same thing. You make it safe to be unguarded and to be relaxed. Right. And when I say this, what pops in my mind is many times when we are in self-protection, when we are guarded, when we don't feel safe, when we are pleasing, the people that we magnetize to most are people who are also guarded, but in a very opposite way of us. They are harsh, they're condescending, they are frustrated. They don't like people who are relaxed and enjoy and in pleasure, right? They are have a more there's a cruelness to them, right? And this is another way for when you begin to get out of your self-protection of people pleasing, then you're no longer going to be attracted to people like people with narcissistic tendencies who are happy for you to do all the work while they don't. They're happy to underfunction and underperform in relationships. When you step out of your survival mode and really come into the joy and pleasure of who you are and begin to feel safe expressing that, then you're going to attract and be connected to other people who are the same. Yeah, peaceful is a great word, that where you come into a life that feels satisfying and good and peaceful. And before I go any further on that, I'm okay. The more I have deactivated my protective layers and just felt safe and coming into who I am and expressing who I am, there are people who judge me. When I was working, I work for myself now, but when I was working for the company I was just with, I left work on time every day. Absolutely, there are people who judged me because they stayed late, they came in early, and of course, if there's a big project going and I need to do that, I would do that. But on a regular basis, I don't have anything to prove. I do my job and I do it well, and then I have a life full of pleasure and joy that I'm excited to leave work and go live. But somebody else who is not in that space, who is in that proving energy, who is in survival, is going to judge you for not being in survival, right? Because you're challenging their belief systems. You're challenging them to get out of survival and into creator, and they don't like that. They don't want to be challenged. So instead of looking at themselves, they're going to deflect it and project it onto you that you're being lazy. And so if we're not really confident and self-assured in who we are and the trajectory of the life path that we want for ourselves, then we can get distracted by the opinions and thoughts of other people who are in survival mode and refusing to get out of it. Yeah, I've had people judging me daily. Of course, there are people who, and there are, the way I do therapy and the way I work with my clients. Absolutely, there's other therapists who have lots of opinions about that. I don't give a shit because I know that I'm centered and grounded in my purpose and who I'm meant to be and the message that I'm meant to carry out into this world. And I'm not confused about that. And so if somebody has an opinion about that, that's on them. It's not on me. I can confidently continue to move forward with my message and my mission and who I'm designed to be. But I can tell you it took me some time to get there because I had to really deconstruct these self-protective layers of if people don't like me, then I'm not safe. I had to deconstruct that belief that if people don't like me, I'm not safe. Because when I was little, I wasn't safe. I wasn't safe if I wasn't being pleasing because I was going to be ostracized from my family. And that is, think about any animal in the wild who gets separated from its pack, it's going to die, right? So I had to deconstruct that for my nervous system that I'm an adult now and I get to decide who my family and who my pack is. I get to create safety for myself. I couldn't do it as a kid, but I can now. And so if there's somebody else in another pack who has an opinion about me, that doesn't threaten my safety anymore. So I can let them have the opinion. Right. So if you're in that space where you're still really feeling frozen and activated by the thoughts and opinions of people, first of all, I want you to have a lot of grace for yourself and a lot of mercy and understanding because the reason why their thoughts and opinions matter so much is because you've been in experiences where people's thoughts and opinions threatened your safety when you were young. And so it's very understandable that that's still a struggle, that that's still activating for you because it Like I said, we have to train and we have to teach our nervous system that we're older now. We're more sophisticated now. We get to make choices now about who we get to have in our life and set those boundaries. And if they don't like it, it's not going to threaten my safety anymore. Okay. So let's look at where to start. Survival mode kills desire. It shuts it down. So if you are like, I hear you, Janice, I think I get it, I just don't know where to start, I want you to start with open up a notes page on your phone and just start thinking about what do I desire? What do I like? What's your favorite ice cream flavor? What kind of clothes do you like to wear? What's your favorite place to go window shopping? Do you like bubble baths or showers better? What's your favorite kind of hot tea? Where do you like to go with your girlfriends when you have an afternoon off? Like, I want you to really indulge desire and make a list for yourself. What's your favorite color? What do you like to do? What do you want to wear? I want you to spend as much time indulging desire. And I want you to notice when or if you start feeling guilty that you are thinking about these things. Start feeling guilty that it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday and you happen to not have anything to do and you're going to sit down and watch your favorite movie. Do you feel guilty about that? All right. I want you to notice how conditioned you are to not enjoy life. And I want you to begin to deconstruct that and decide, you know what? I'm going to start giving myself permission. And it's a lot to ask our nervous systems to go from this category to this category. That's a big ask for your nervous system in a short amount of time. So what I want you to do is think of it in 5% increments, right? So this week, what is 5% change for you in allowing yourself to indulge in desire and pleasure? What's a 5% change? It can be saying no to your boss on a new project. It can be when your partner asks, where do you want to eat? You actually say what you want to eat instead of saying, whatever you want, I don't care. Right? It can be letting the dishes stay dirty in the sink overnight. It can be, what is it that you can do that's a 5% shift this week into letting yourself relax, into letting yourself experience pleasure and desire and pursue it, right? And if you're shifting 5% each week, by the end of the year, you've made huge gains into the category of living in creator instead of survivor. So this is interesting. Last night, I have a 16-year-old son, and I was finishing up my notes for this class, and we were just kind of being silly and goofy. And I was like, hey, you want to teach this class for me tomorrow? He's like, sure. I was like, okay, I'm talking about survival mode. What would you do? How would you teach it? He was like, I would tell him to go in creator mode. I was like, okay, what does that mean? And so he's a Minecrafter. And the two worlds, and any of you, if you have kids or around kids, there's two worlds of Minecraft, survival mode and creator mode. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what does creator mode mean? He's like, you're just like, you can be creative, you can be resourceful, you get to dream up new ideas, you get to like build all kinds of things in a different way. I was like, yeah, but that's actually exactly what I'm teaching. You could totally teach this class for me, right? You get to go in creator mode. You get to decide. But again, our nervous system will panic if we abandon our way of being now and try to switch over. So we're going to get to creator mode, but I want you to do it in incremental shifts that allow your nervous system to adjust to your new reality. So each time, if you're not used to setting boundaries and saying no, each time you set a boundary and say no, then your nervous system learns, oh my God, I didn't die. Okay, that felt okay. I, okay, I can do this. Or each time you set a boundary with your partner and it pisses them off, that's uncomfortable and it's hard, but it's not going to kill you, right? And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't die. Or each time you say, no, mom, I'm not coming to your house, or I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something with my family instead of do something with you. Probably going to piss her off. Probably she's going to start passively aggressively doing stuff to try to control you, but it's not going to kill you. And the more you teach your nervous system, like, okay, I can make these choices. People can be frustrated and mad at me, and I'm not, I'm okay. I'm still here. I'm safe. I have these other people in my life who are great and I love. Then it's training yourself. I do get to be in creator mode. I don't have to stay in survival. And there are going to be people who have a lot of big opinions about the fact that I refuse to live that way anymore. Because our society is wired to value people who are stressed out, overwhelmed, overworked, tired, burned out. We think that means success. But you get to define what success is for you. And if that is not your definition of success, you get to allow those people to think that and to live their life that way. You know, back to the Mel Robbins, let them. Let them. You are deciding that's not my value system. That's not how I want to live my life because I'm understanding what it's costing me. It's costing me my peace. It's costing me my joy. It's costing me my connection to myself. It's costing me my health. It's costing me the disappointment of knowing that I'm abandoning myself over and over and over again, and I cannot fulfill the mission that I know I'm here to do. Or I know I'm here for a mission and I don't know what it is because I haven't given myself permission to find it because I'm running around trying to fill everyone else's missions. Okay? So let me look at, I have a workbook. Some of you, I think, have it. I'm going to drop it in for the rest of you. And I think what I'm going to do actually is share my screen so that you can see it because I want to walk through it so that I'm sure that you know how to use it. And it's going to give you some, I wanted it to be really practical. I wanted it to be something tangible that you can download and either go through digitally or print off if you're somebody who likes to have like hard copies of things. I'm a little bit of both, to be honest. Sometimes I need a hard copy. So it is, you have here, what is sophisticated survival mode? It's just a reminder of like how we got there. And here's a checklist for you, hidden signs of survival mode, for you to begin to check off like, okay, that is me. I am constantly tired, even though I get sleep, or I can't sleep very well. Do you have a short fuse and get irritated easily? Do you often say you're fine when you're not? Do you overthink decisions? I think this is powerful too if you have a partner or a child or a coworker whom you're like, oh my gosh, I could check all these boxes for that person. Okay, they're in survival mode. Survival mode is self-protection mode. If you are with somebody who's in survival mode, they cannot think of anything outside of themselves. So if you're frustrated that they won't really consider you, if you're frustrated that they won't meet your needs, if you're frustrated that they won't understand you or have grace for you, it's because they're in survival mode and they're only thinking of themselves because that's what survival mode is meant to do, help you survive. Right? And that goes for us too. If you are in survival mode, you may think that you're a really kind, gracious person, and you are. But people pleasing is actually about you. People pleasing is actually about you creating safety for yourself. So it is actually a self-centered action. It seems like it's focused on others. It's not. It's actually focused on your own safety. All right, so here's a checklist for you in that. Here's some reminders about why we need to do this work so that we're no longer stuck in reaction mode, that we're disconnected to ourselves. Our relationships are codependent and distant. Our nervous systems don't settle, we're sabotaging our growth, and we feel hollow inside. So this is just a reminder of why this work is so powerful and important. All right. And then here's a way for you. So here's what's interesting. There are some of us, sure, who are in survival mode in 100% of our life. But it's likely that you have some areas of your life where you are not, where you are more creative, you're more resourceful. You can think objectively and creatively and feel ambiguous emotions like flexibility in your thinking, because that's part of what creator mode offers is ability because we have full access to our frontal lobe. We're not covered in shame and fear. And so we can think really resourcefully and creatively. So I want you to look at the areas of your life where you're highly activated in survivor. And then the areas of your life where you're like, I mean, sometimes I probably go to that, but for the most part, um, I can handle myself in this way. Right? So maybe that's in your friendships. You have really great girlfriends. You laugh and you're silly. You don't take everything they do and say personally. They're for you. They support you. You're for them. They support you. Maybe that's an area of your life where you're like, actually, I think I'm pretty good in that area. Great. Acknowledge that. Celebrate that. Let's pull some of those feelings into these other areas of your life where you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, depressed, frustrated, unsure. All right. So I just wanted you to kind of check and understand these different areas. And then how can you make that 5% shift this week? Set a 10-minute timer and let yourself rest with no guilt. Even if you can only do it for 10 minutes, great. Start with 10 minutes next week, set the timer for 15, right? You're going to expand yourself 5% at a time. Say no to something that's draining to you that you're tired of doing, you don't want to do anymore. Take a brave step toward setting a boundary. Um, Journal for 5 minutes or turn your face to the sun and just be for 5 minutes instead of scrolling. Feel an emotion without feeling like you need to fix it. Or this is a really big one. Let your partner or your child or somebody close to you feel their feelings without you needing to fix it. So if your partner's upset and mad, if your child is frustrated, mad, especially at you, like, can you tolerate not fixing it? Letting them navigate their emotions. All right, do something fun just for you that's with no productivity attached. You just want to enjoy pleasure for the sake of pleasure, whatever that is. All right. And I want you to think, this is kind of something you can journal. This is something you can play around with ChatGPT as well. Like, hey, ChatGPT, you can type in, I want to switch from surviving my life to feeling like I'm creating my life. Um, I'm not sure what that looks like. Ask me 10 questions to help me understand what my dream life would look like. Or maybe in your head, you know what your dream life is. I would be living in this city. I would be shopping at these kinds of stores. I would be eating this kind of food. I would be traveling to these cities, or traveling 4 times a year. If you know what you like, can close your eyes and picture, but you have no idea, tell ChatGPT, hey, here's my dream life. Tell me about a day in my life. It is so fun to do. It will create this really beautiful story of a day in your life living that dream. And that can help you begin to give you ideas about how to take these 5% shifts into being that person. Nobody's going to give you permission. I'm going to say it again. Nobody is going to give you permission. You have to give yourself permission to create this life. Okay. And then I have a bonus for you. The bonus is activities you can do when you feel the dysregulation in your body. And because, like I said, we didn't grow up in homes where we learned how to regulate emotions, here's some ways to do it. If you're angry, here's some ways to regulate yourself. If you are sad, here are some ways to regulate yourself. If you're anxious, if you feel depressed, if you're in overwhelm. Okay, I have 5 things in each of those categories, and if you feel fear. And then this is a cool chart. This could be something that you could just kind of have separated to do a check-in, maybe put it up on your bathroom mirror. So you can self-assess for yourself, am I regulated or am I dysregulated? Because this is stuff we weren't really taught. Sometimes it's hard to know, right? So if you're feeling numb and spacey and disconnected, that's not regulated. That's okay, so I should do some deep breathing. Maybe I need to do um, some activating within my body, or I need to meditate to help yourself feel grounded, present in your body. Okay, if you have shallow, tight breaths and feel restricted, that's a sign of dysregulation. So we can take some deep breaths. So I created this chart to help you contextualize because we're not used to thinking about this. We're not used to listening to our bodies and understanding the signals it's giving us. So my hope in you having this document is for you to be able to have these signals, for you to be able to have what you need so that you can begin doing this work. All right, so I'm about to drop that in the chat. Before I do, I want to let you know I do have a 60-day nervous system reset coming up. We meet once a week on Zoom here for an hour. And then you have a course that you work through between, and in the, when I say core, that's kind of a word that a lot of people probably don't like, but there's journal prompts in it. There are like some guided meditations in it. There are just more worksheets like this to help you understand how to unpack and get your nervous system regulated. So we work on it for 8 weeks together. It's an incredibly reasonable price. This is my gift to society to help, because my way of paying it forward. So that, because I just know that collectively, the more people we can get living in regulation, living in creativity, the more empowered we will feel, regardless of what's happening in the world around us. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is drop this document in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, Becky, trying not to fix other people's emotions, especially, is hard, right? All right, so here's the document I just showed you. There it is in the chat. And now I want to give you this. Our next group starts on July 2nd. If for whatever reason you cannot attend one of the weeks, you get lifetime access to the replay, so you can watch the replay. So it will go for America, it's Wednesday morning for the month of July and August. And there is the group. It's only $200. It's $25 a week for you to have all the tools and resources you need to completely reset your nervous system. We go into a little bit more about what causes the dysregulation in the first place. We can just kind of slow down. We do a lot of what I talked about today, but just a much slower pace, because we have 8 sessions where we can kind of break each of these steps and processes down. Okay, I hope that this was helpful and beneficial for you. I really hope the workbook is, I designed the workbook again for you to have something really tangible to look at, to begin to wrap your head around. Get your hands on it and begin to really take these 5% weekly shifts. And if you're like, I get it, Janice, but I got a long way to go and I need help, then the group is for you. I designed it to help you, to support you. I will be honest, the people who just finished the group, those who were in their own therapy, grew leaps and bounds, because and most of them, actually, I'm not their therapist, so it's fine if you have your own therapist. I would love to be your therapist, but if you have your own therapist, it's fine. You can do this work simultaneously with your therapy work, and it can expedite the process even more. If you're in a space right now where you're not in therapy, it's not really something that you want to dive into, but you know you need the support, it's great. Like I said, it was about 50-50 with the last group. Everybody got something out of it. I just happened to see that those in therapy who could really process with their therapist did grow even more. So that's all I have for today. Again, I hope this was helpful. I'm here. I have another 10 or 15 minutes or so. I'm happy to answer questions, so you can unmute and ask them or pop a question in the chat. But thank you for coming. I see some names that I haven't seen in quite a while. I'm so happy you're here. And yeah, I would love to connect. So I'm here.